welcome to Up and About. I'm your host, Eniola Lungen. On Up and About, we actively pursue the development and the prosperity of the African continent. The show is positioned as a transgenerational show. This means that we'll be seated and discussing with business leaders across various industries with varying levels of experience in order for us to leverage on the wealth of experience and knowledge that they have gathered over the years. On this episode, this is the one on content creation. Yay! I know that a lot of us young people, even adults, are even getting into the buzz of content creation. And so, how does content creation work exactly? What is the fad really about? Is content really king? All this and more we will be finding out today on the episode. To help us do this, we have two amazing people in the content space. Please make welcome with me, Ferdinand Adimefe.
Ferdy Adimefe is a serial entrepreneur passionate about culture and creative industrialization. He is the founder of Imaginarium Creative and Magic Carpet Studios, an animation and game studio in Lagos, Nigeria. He curates expressions centered on faith, innovation, and technology. He is a father, husband, writer, and public speaker. He is skilled in corporate communications, market research, business development, marketing strategy, and digital marketing, with a master's degree in media and communication.
Hello, Ferdy. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Inola. I don't know if I have blown. I'm on your show.
I have blown you up. Thank you so much for coming.
Good to be here.
I appreciate. Our second guest for today is none other than a whack person himself. Help me make welcome Fawole Peter. Fawole Peter is the creative director and founder of a diverse network of creators called We Are Creative People, WAC People for short. Prior to establishing WAC People in 2016, Fawole worked at Abel Studio as a talent manager and studio director. He is passionate about equipping creatives with tools to help them leverage on their talents and help brands express themselves. He loves the barter system of value creation and calls it the power of we. Welcome, Mr. Peter.
Nice having you. Well, it's nice having me on your show. Nice having me on. Nice having me on your show. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So on the show today, we're going to be talking about what exactly is content creation. If you have the vision for the Nigerian content space, unique selling propositions as content creators, how content creators can really leverage on social media and any other platforms really to pursue their businesses and all of that stuff. But before we go into all the juicy details of today's conversation, we're going to be taking a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still Up and About. If you're just joining us, you are right on time because we're just about to go into the conversation on content creation today. To help us do this, we have two people, Ferdinand Adimefe as well as Fawole Peters. So let's just go straight into the conversation. So can you let us know what exactly is content creation? Because I know it's more than just one single thing. So we have a lot of content creators, but what exactly is content creation? Let's start with Peter.
I call it an art basically.
Okay.
Content creation is like the art of producing materials that are either educative or entertaining for a specific audience. So like content is when you create anything with the aim of using it to do something. It could be anything, it could be pictures, it could be videos, it could be text, but whatever it is that you created with the aim of informing people about something or entertaining them or whatever it is that you're trying to do, but for a particular audience. That's what content creation is to me. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a piece of digital media, like I said, that is used to drive or pass across information, enlightenment, education, and all of those things. So it's diverse. I mean, it can be textual content, it can be video content, it can be pictorial content in the case of when it's visual designs. It can be animated content. It can be even content for technology, document, or product. So whenever you think about how do I carry or communicate or convey this information across a digital platform, you're already thinking of content. It's quite an exciting new space. I think it's a space that is fast developing and unfolding in Nigeria because it's one of the new frontiers or one of the new industries that is emerging. So it's going to take a bit of time, but yeah, we're happy to be in that space at this time.
Wonderful. So I want to ask you real quick, how did both of you get into content creation? What was the journey that led to, oh, now I create content?
Mine started with management, basically. I used to manage a talent called Sugar Banner.
Okay.
I was a very young boy. I met him and I was trying to get him on. And I realized that there was nothing I could do. Like everything I was doing to make sure he moves was content creation, basically. Like that was the making videos. There's no way they could hear a song before the song drops to know if it was dope or not. So it was the graphics that would determine if they would click on it. It was the snippet that would determine if it was dope enough compared to the music itself. You get what I mean? So it was very important. So I realized that as I was trying to manage just him, I ended up managing like photographers, graphic designers, cinematographers, and all of that. So, and along the line, I understood how money works in the industry. For example, I managed Sugar Banner for like 2 years. I never made a dime. But just managing those cinematographers, I realized that they are in demand, but it's not just obvious. Like, people need videos there. Like, there are times we just go and hang out somewhere and we make money out of that place. So, like, with time, and then I realized that, which is where the name came from. They are weird people. They don't like to talk about business. They don't know how to talk about business. They don't, all they really want to do is just create. Like, they would prefer someone should just take over all that and just tell me it's time to create and this is what you should do. So yeah, that's where the journey started for me. I said, okay, let me scout. And then at that point, the person I was managing, I lost him. The record label issues, all of that, I had to leave him aside. So I was like, okay, I lost the dope guy. Let me gather the whack guys. And that was how it all started. I was like out there looking for, because I realized there are so many creatives in Nigeria. Like, and they were guys that, with what they were doing and the resources they had, it was obvious if they had more, they would do way more. So that was how I started work people, and then I started going all out to just gather as much resources to just help them make sure that whenever they want to create, they can create.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you very
so
much. Yeah, you're welcome, B.
Ferdy, what about you?
Well, I think I would like to describe that myself as a storyteller. Always love to read. I read lots of novels growing up. So for me, my mind, the way I think in fiction, I think in stories. And so I started first as a writer, and then it grew into something called Creative Nigeria Movement. The focus at the time was to see how we could create a platform where creatives can collaborate and create together. And I felt strongly that on one level, Nigeria was a creative wasteland. It was a painful thing to realize that you have all these creatives spread across town, but people just didn't know how to appreciate value or appropriately pay for creative value. People were undermining it. And then there's a sense of synthesis that when you keep two creative in a space, the sum of the two is greater than the parts, right? So that the more people you have in a creative space, the more opportunities that you have to create. So Imagineer was the name of the first company we started, was essentially a content factory. That was what we called it, and at the intersection of media, entertainment, and technology, just to see how to fit into this pool. Right? It was quite interesting having that, because on one level, I wanted to control quality, and I felt that I've been on the corporate side. I worked in a corporate company for 5 years, and I was in charge of branding and communication. So I was always dealing with creative vendors. I need this, I need that, and I would battle back and forth over, I'm not taking that video. Like, in fact, I would read their script with them. In fact, some of them felt I was intrusive. Like, Freddie, stay your lane. Make we do our own. But they didn't understand that was where I was most fulfilled, because it was an oil and gas company. Apart from that, we're talking barrel of oil.
Exactly.
This was a chance to leave my. So I would jump into the script. I would go on side. They'll be saying, "Kilo boy." I was shocked. Right. My point was, it was quite interesting. But when I decided to quit, it was clear to me that I wanted to be Imaginarium, and I also love technology. So the idea was, how can all of these things work together, right? So that was how our own journey started, and we grew up into animation was something that was not on the radar at first. We wanted to do animation as part of what we wanted to use to win on the agency, animation to gain traction.
Exactly.
But I think the biggest opportunity for content was global.
Yes.
And for me, it was, how do I sell content? I mean, I can do agency here and there to pay the bills. It would help you to pay the bills, but the future was in exporting content and earning in dollars. And that was where my mind was, or where my eyes have been, dollars, right? But it's still, but the point again is that it's a journey, and we're getting there as a, and in one success, again, in global map for content, Nigeria is not there.
Yes.
A feature film from Nigeria, honestly, we can celebrate it in Nigeria. It doesn't gross anything. In the last 5 years, all the films produced in Nigeria have only grossed about $20 million. But if you go to South Africa, two films produced in 2012 and 2013, two animated films made about $86 million.
Wow.
So there is such a huge margin, right? So I know that when you get to the point where you produce the content, Nigerians will celebrate Nigerian content here, but they don't travel very far. Once they get to London and a few pockets here and there in diaspora, you've seen it all. But an international film would gross over and over again. And I think for me, the conversation for content and animation and gaming was, how do I put Africa on the map? How do we get to the point where we can gather all the creatives and say, you know what, let's get this thing going.
Yes.
Let's create something that can compete with Disney, with all of the best brands. Let's compete something that Nigerians will be proud to identify with. That has been the journey.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. You know, I have a question about the future of content creation in Nigeria and the Nigerian content space, but we're not there yet.
So that's Expo.
No, just
Let's think about it.
think about it. If I ask you. So for now, what I want to know is, what advice will you give to anyone looking to get into the content creation space and maybe just doesn't know what to do, or just thinks that they have no money, or I don't know, just doesn't know how to get the word out there? What would you say to such a person?
Yeah, like there are different aspects that I can get into. There are the people that are the content creators themselves. There are people that manage those contents. There are people that publish those contents. But basically, first of all, I think the first thing is learning. Like, it is a consistent thing. I don't want to know how much you know in this creative space. Like, daily something new is coming out. There's always an update for you and all of that stuff. So I think you need to be consistent with, to me, it is consistency with everything. Learning, buying new gears, getting the latest information, whatever it is, but just be consistent. Even in showing off what you have done so far. Because some people, they decide to not show off what they have done so far because they are trying to get somewhere. But not knowing that part of getting to that place is showing off where you are at, where you are going to get to and stuff like that. So that's basically my advice for them. Yeah.
Okay, I think one of the my advice would be to the creators is, be the best at what you do. And sometimes we tend to hustle and then we stop growing. We get to the point where we focus about the money and not the value we create. And honestly, that's where you peak, right? And you know, I've seen the in and out of freelance, and sometimes the challenge for me is, many times when you get into the hustle game, you're not thinking, your art is not expanding to accommodate that. And he spoke about the other side of the equation, which are the people who manage. And I think that in terms of that, growth is also important. But more importantly, creatives should focus on collaboration. See, the reality is that find a community, right, and plug in. Because there's a sense that a community can provide for you the crucible for which you can develop yourself even more, get more challenged if you need to get more challenged. Money will come. And I've always been one of the few Nigerians, or maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's who just believe, no, honestly, even looking in this room, I know. But the reality is that sometimes you get on the fast lane. We want the money so quickly. But we destroy our character, our reputation, and our value before we get there. So when you get there, nobody wants your job. So the point is, go with your character, go with your reputation, keep that intact as much as possible. It's hard in Nigeria, but you want to do that. And once you get there, people can value what you do. So don't make promises you cannot keep. Don't try as much as possible. Let the money be important to you, but let your value be important to you. And when you come to the point where you have to price, don't be afraid of saying no, and don't be afraid of walking away. Because at the end of the day, when you price yourself cheap, it's going to be hard to debunk that you're cheap.
Definitely.
It's a crowded market. Just stand out in what you do, and those who understand value will come for you. And if you can get 2-3 clients that understand what you create and what you do, they will be by far more rewarding than anything you can gather picking the crumbs from the other people who may not value what you have. So as a creative, it's important to me that what I'm dropping on the table is a piece of art, and is a soul creation. I mean, in the studio, we work from the soul. Like, we are very attached to how we create, how we produce. It has a plus and a minus. But the fundamental is that once you put something out there, we want something that the world would feel the impact of the art we are creating. And that's the opportunity.
That's amazing. So definitely, be your best, be consistent, always learn. It's great to have talent, it's great to be gifted, but you need to hold that talent into skill. I think we've said this over and over and over and over and over and over again. We can't say it enough. Hone your talent. You need to be skillful. So you need to be dexterous with the things that you have been talented or gifted with, okay? And then, be in a community of people who can, propel you to the success that you're looking for. But before we go further into the conversation, we're going to be taking a quick break. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Put yourself on a salary. It's not about being broke all year round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any mom will be worried about why you're going broke after your degree, so or why you're going around and it doesn't seem like anything is happening.
Did you know? 1. The average person receives over 140 emails per day. 2. The majority of online video is now watched on a smartphone. 3. The average adult spends 3 hours on a smartphone each day. 4. Data-driven content builds your brand credibility and drives more web traffic and social shares than other types of content. 5. Send between 4 and 7 emails and watch your reply rates jump to 27%. Now you know.
Welcome back to Still Up and About. I'm Eniola Lunge, and today we are discussing the content creation industry. To help us do that, we have two people in the studio with me, Ferdy Adimefe as well as Fawole Peter. So we're just going to now I'm going to ask you guys, how can content creators plug into the gig economy, and how has the gig economy helped content creators to thrive?
Basically, for like work people, for example, like gigs, like that's our consistent money, or I don't know how to say it. It comes freestyle, like one new thing, but yeah, it's something that we became important to. I don't know how to explain it, but like you cannot have a gig without documenting the gig. You understand? So most times when there's a gig, creatives are always needed. So yeah, it's something that is becoming like fluid. Like creatives are always with the gig, and then the gigs we always need the creatives. So yeah, I think is they help each other basically. Yeah.
What about you, Ferdy?
I think it's really the feed off each other, yeah. But the important part in the gig economy is that when you're in the gig economy, it doesn't speak to retainership, right? So what it means is that you literally have to find a way to oil the engine, just keep things going. So you need a very effective and strong outgoing marketing side of the equation to help keep the jobs coming, but aim towards the retainership. And the other part is with the gig economy, you might get a job today, you might not get another for 2 months, right? So the point is knowing the fluidity or the inconsistency of cash flow. Some days you can get 4 jobs in a month, and some other times you will not. But you need to constantly reinvest in what you have and then plan your pathway for growth. You will have to grow because that's the low end of the market. That's the low-hanging fruit. Anybody can do 3, 4. So what you want to do is structure your way out of that place. Structure makes you more attractive. Structure will bring you the good jobs. Nigerians don't think so hard about structure. But I do think it's something that we came into early enough, because at the end of the day, we tend to function as a hybrid. We do the gigs when they come, and they come very often, but we then focus on projects, which are things we want to get to a point. So we have this goal orientation where we're saying, hey guys, want to get to that point, do that. So I think it's a combination of both. What I see is in the context of the post-COVID reality, every brand is a digital brand. And having a digital brand consciousness means that people are going to be needing a lot of content. And so content guys have to sit up, be on top of your game, because you can't be hungry. There are platforms now where you can actually plug in, and every now and again you find a couple of jobs that you can do that. But there is still the other side of the equation where we're seeing that softwares are coming. And sometimes softwares are replacing things like even Canva has been sort of eating a bit into the market. So you have all those softwares. It's not in the mainstream, but you even have things coming around in photography, things coming around in video production. I mean, there was this particular device, I don't know if you've seen it, I saw the video. It was literally, I could shoot an entire, within a small space, but they've actually created a technology that kind of reduced the whole massive
gig
into one small piece of technology. Technology is getting simplified, and things are getting sophisticated. So what we need to do is advance in our creativity as much, so that technology becomes something that you are using to enhance your creativity, not something that is replacing it.
Exactly. So I like that you mentioned about putting structure into the business. So I want to ask you, from your experience, what is proven and tested way to get, retain, and convert clients into fans?
Deliver results, right? And I think exceed the expectation of the brand. But the reality with retainer is that it's in Nigeria here we have a very connection-driven economy, and it's a good and a bad thing, right? Because the reality is sometimes people give you the leg in the room when they know you, so it helps that you build relationships, and I think it's the life wire of everything. If you're not like he's talking about, creative sometimes can be awkward in trying to cultivate relationship. Then get a team, get somebody whose job is to harness that,
Relationship
right,
manager.
and do that. So I think in a sense it's really, I see that the movement is going to move towards more remote type of job. More, the freelance economy is going to be with us, but the fundamental of a freelance economy is its own Achilles heel. Like a freelance economy sometimes may not be able to scale, stay in a freelance.
Yeah.
And the danger is when you come down ill, you're out. So you want to be able to figure out you have your health insurance. So go and acquire your own health insurance. Don't wait for, because you don't have a company, you don't have pension. No,
Exactly.
like structure yourself even while as a freelancer. Because it's ultimately you're going to be able to fall back to something should
Exactly.
anything happen. Invest even while as a freelancer.
I think that's
All
perfect.
cash is not profit as a
I love
freelancer.
Even as a business.
Now put yourself on salary. That's something I think.
Exactly.
No matter how much you earn, even if you're making, you made $1 million this month. If what you've placed in your on your
Payroll,
salary is
yeah.
150, 200, please adjust your spending to that. Let everything else become something that can be reinvested
Yeah.
or put aside for something else. But in Nigeria, all cash is profit.
I mean, I'm sure that we're learning that definitely all cash is not profit.
Nah, man.
And you should definitely be putting yourself on a salary, especially for creatives. So you think that, oh, once somebody paid you that money, that's
You,
your profit.
you
No.
forgot that you have to pay for internet.
Yes,
You have to.
yes.
There was fuel. There was so many things that went down to make it happen.
There was
But you didn't think about all that stuff.
All of that stuff. But
Yeah.
Peter, what you want to
So
say?
for us, when it comes to retaining clients, like we are about being proactive, basically. Like we work. No, that's not what we really want. But most times, like we work with like entertainers, celebrities, and all of that stuff, and we realize that just staying with them or just working with them on a job, we can see every other thing they need.
Exactly.
You get what I mean? So what we just do most times is after this job you've done, we'll package you another done job, and then are you sure you want it? If you don't want it, you can sell it to someone else. That kind of stuff. So like we are very proactive, and then collaboration basically. Like there are equipments that whenever we want to shoot a proper job, we need to go and rent and get all of that stuff together. But whenever there's something I call Wax Sunday Cruise. We're having one this Sunday. So what we just do is for content creators. Normally that thing you charge for, that you always want them to pay you for, let's collaborate and make it happen together, then we sell it out. That kind of stuff. So any day we do that stuff, I will see aperture lights, 4K cameras, all the equipment that we need, we have excess of them because they are collaborating now. But when it is time for, when they try to do things on their own, it becomes lower quality. You get what I'm saying? So for us, it's more about collaboration and then like being proactive, basically.
Sounds like about collaboration now. So, personally, I have reached out to a number of people on collaboration. So how exactly can you get somebody to collaborate with you? Like, what's the 1, 2, 3 steps to landing collaboration?
So everything is value for value, basically. Like where the mistake comes is probably when you reached out, all you explained was the value you're trying to get, not what value that person will get. For example, there's a way you can reach out to somebody that about a particular problem that what you're trying to do is going to solve, and that is that person's pain point. But if you never mention that pain point, all the person can see is what you stand to gain. That thing won't happen. Another thing that we always don't put in consideration is logistics. So for making this collaboration happen, there are still some things that will go down. There are still some things that will be needed to make sure that it is real. You get what I'm saying? It has to be spoken about. Who is handling them? How are we handling them? And all of that stuff. Once you talk about all those things up front, the collaboration becomes realer. That's basically it for me.
Wonderful. Ferdy, do you have
Well,
anything to add?
I think that honestly, in the 21st century, collaboration is capital. And one thing you must keep in mind is when you come to collaborate, there are trade-offs. There are some things that you can keep. There are some things that you just can't keep. And it's about interest and ensuring that at the end of the day, everybody gets to win. Understand the motivations of everyone that is coming into the team and what do they have. And again, collaboration should allow us to play to our strength. while we compensate, people compensate in areas where we're weak. So it's really important to explore that. I would recommend that sometimes the greatest limitation of a creative person is their ego. And ego is not, can't take us too far, right? So it's important that sometimes you just have to put yourself out of the picture, right? Let your perception and your ideas and your assumptions not cloud your reasoning. As much as possible in the beginning of your collaborative journey, sometimes you might not necessarily have to win all to win eventually. And knowing the appropriate value equation will get you there.
Wonderful. So before we go on another break, I just want to quickly ask, how would you explain a career in content creation to a Nigerian parent? Because they've sent you to school to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, and after all you said and done, you say, okay, daddy, I'm going to pick up hairstyling, I'm going to pick up shooting a videography, or all of that stuff, especially because parents love professional. They want to just say, oh, my daughter is not a doctor, my daughter is not a lawyer. So what can you say to that?
It's very tough because, like, with me, I always have to explain to parents, like, back to back, like, why, like, what are you trying to say, like, all that kind of stuff. But I've not gotten the perfect answer yet, but I'm still shaping it. And I think with this part of career, this type of career, it is more about showing. Like, you need to be able to show
and prove that.
Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. Because I've spoken to several parents that even when they let me be and say, okay, we'll do what I told him to do, they are still not satisfied until they see the boy on TV.
Yeah, so they're like, oh
yeah, then they call and tell you that, oh, that you're very right about what you're saying that day. So it's not like we didn't explain ourselves that time. It's not like they didn't understand what we're saying, but it's just I don't know what this is, so I don't know what to. So basically, it's very complicated. But all you're trying to let them know is that, like, they are creatives. They are people that are trying to create stuff that are going to entertain people, to make this world a better place, educate people to know things that people will never get to learn, even not for content, and how it was broken down to them. You get what I mean? Like, I'm someone that I find it hard to understand. I find it hard to understand something that is not practical. I don't know how to explain. That is not visual. That I can connect to and that kind of stuff. So, like, but when content came, even things that were not visual, there was a way they were able to just pass the message for kids, for everybody. So basically, is like your child is into the industry of, like, creating stuff that will educate people, but digitally this time around.
Yeah, going to teaching.
Basically.
So just thinking about it, I do think that parents do have legitimate fears about that. But when you listen to them, most times what they are more concerned about is, can this pay the bills?
Yes.
Exactly. They are trying to solve the money equation, right? So, but again, we creatives, or you're creative, you can help that. The point again, put yourself on a salary. It's not about being broke all year round. I mean, any mom will be worried about why you're going broke after your degree, or why you're going around and it doesn't seem like anything is happening, right? So the point is, even if you have 50K every month, have the orientation that because you're creative, incorporate some of the kind of, there are some constants and variables when it comes to pay. Put yourself under that. Even if it's 20, 30K, you guys able to squeeze up from your creative experiences or work, put them into a salary, right? Your parents would, when you're not coming to them every so often for things, they get to understand that maybe there's something here. Then the second aspect is that they want to see sustainability. And sustainability is a big issue when it comes to creativity, because at the end of the day, we don't even have an entire structure for an economy to thrive. So, but you must keep structures on the front burner. You have to constantly be asking yourself, okay, how do I scale? Partnership, collaboration. I mean, the other time I was talking to two artists, I was like, I think you guys are good together. They're like, I don't know. I said, no, because it's saturated. So I want to see you guys work together, bring your 30K, bring your buy studio session, do stuff, right? Explore being a band or a group, right? Too many solo artists moving around. I mean, for every fire boy, there is like 1,000 field ones. For every Joe boy, there is 1,000 field ones. So,
if not million.
yeah, possibly, right? And then in every family today, there is a music artist, right? So I think you must, again, approach your freelance career like you have a 9-to-5. What it means is that put yourself under a structured salary, have a routine to structure. Don't just be sleeping around 12 o'clock. Any person's like, are you not going anywhere? Your mates are at work. You're like, when I create at night.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, but have a sense of, have a sense of duty. When they come, have your laptop. Be taking serious call. Don't be going to the kitchen, carry food. Like there's a way they feel like you're eating. Are you putting right? So the idea again is have that sense of contribution,
Definitely.
have a sense of ownership. When they see seriousness, when they see dedication, I think every parent over time will learn to apologize and support.
So we have to take a quick short break. So we'll be right back with more on Up and About.
Before COVID-19, we got lesser calls from like clients that wanted something long term, that wanted, but like after COVID-19, it's been more graphics, motion graphics. Yeah, we need it long term. How can we see the price? How can we do a retainer? All of that stuff. So I think it's a good thing that happened to us.
How to succeed in the industry. 1. Study your client's industry's audience. 2. Establish your own voice. 3. Read books on content creation. 4. Create your content strategy around your KPIs. 5. Don't be afraid to tell people what you do.
Welcome back to Still Up and About. My name is Eniola, and with me in the studio we have Ferdy Adimefe as well as Fawole Peter to discuss the content creation industry. And this is the last segment, so if you're just joining us, you already know what to do. Go back and start from the beginning when it's online. So in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, I'd like to know for both of you your experiences and how the industry is evolving to suit the needs of people currently.
Well, I think there's aspects of the business that I think are impacted positively, and the aspects of the industry that I think impacted negatively. On the animation side, I think a lot of people started to turn to animation because you can't go out to shoot. So there was quite a lot of interest in animation, and that has somewhat grown. Even the understanding of that industry has grown. So, but again, there's still the other side where every brand became conscious of the fact that they need to have a digital footprint. So they are trying to build a digital asset. So there's going to be a greater demand, even as the COVID rolls back. You're going to have a need for photographers, videographers, cinematographers. Everybody's going to be needed to do the work. I see it as a positive turn in the industry. And more so, our parents are also waking up to realize, okay, so these things you guys do is the new world, because honestly, some industries and some kind of careers are going to thin out. I mean, when you look at the traditional careers like being an accountant, no offense, but my point is there are softwares that can do better accounting than humans. So what we need now is that free yourself to acquire new skills that can help you thrive in other areas. So it's a good and a bad one, but it's a good one.
Generally. Peter?
Yeah, as I said, it was a positive one. Like, though we are just picking up back from how we used to be, but first of all, like, before COVID-19, we got lesser calls from like clients that wanted something long term, that wanted, but like after COVID-19, it's been more graphics, motion graphics. Yeah, we need it long term. How can we see the price? How can we do a retainer? All of that stuff. So I think it's a good thing that happened to us, even though it is we saw the effect in the finance like a bit, especially like video production. People stopped asking for like videos like till now. We really get calls like we already get calls for like video production. It's mostly something that we shot already and then we propose to people that they get to buy. So basically that's the situation. But like to me generally, I can see the growth. I can see the effect. I know that's going to come back as a very good thing.
Wonderful, and I think it's definitely going to encourage innovation.
Yeah.
It's no longer business as usual. So you as a business and you as a person, you have to evolve.
Exactly. Even my creatives, like I can remember before COVID-19, I'll tell them, you have to stay consistent, like just create stuff by yourself. They were not answering me. Then after COVID-19, now they are calling me with all the, like just tell me what to create. I just want to create. I was at home all through. I was able to think for myself. I was able to, I was messing up all this time I have it for nothing.
Now, why is that?
Yeah, you get what I mean? So like, in all, it was a good thing.
That's amazing. Thank you guys for the conversation today.
Yeah,
Before
appreciate it.
you go, we have a quick short game that we want to use to embarrass you.
Do I want to be embarrassed? I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I have an election to win, and you can't take me
It's
on.
okay. We want to know that our president, our governor, our representative in the House of Assembly knows how to have fun. So, this is taboo. So it's a word game. So have you played taboo before?
Nah.
Freddie, have you played taboo before?
I have. It's not right. But
You
if we're
have
carrying all those
faced
things,
Okay, so I'm going to try to get you to guess a particular word. So I have tried to make it industry specific. So just think in terms of your industry. And so if there are three cards,
yeah.
so the person who gets two is the winner. So we're going to start. So where do you create quality graphics? That's good. You guys have to guess.
So your question not correct.
It's correct. Just
When do you?
Where?
Where?
Correct. Be there.
Good.
Are you in the game?
I heard when did you create?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
You heard right.
Okay.
The second one.
Mhm.
Tom and Jerry is a what?
The cartoon.
Correct. Ferdy got it. Okay, the last one. The tiebreaker. Are you serious?
Mhm.
Ferdy, are you serious?
Honestly, I'm not serious. I'm just hoping I hear you.
Okay, I'm going to be very clear. When somebody comes to you to say, oh, I need you to help me do this. So you and the team have to sit down and work on a what?
Brainstorm strategy.
Yes, the asset strategy.
Strategy.
Okay, so Ferdy came from the back. Real cool and calm. 2-1, you're the winner, Ferdy. Congratulations.
#1, please.
Okay. Send me your bank
Up
account.
and about. I will not be up and about if I don't get my money.
You will be. You don't need the money to be up and about.
I do actually.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. If you are a creative out there and you've just been wondering how to navigate, post-COVID, you definitely have to upgrade your skills. You need to, learn, and you also need to actively put yourself out there in the market so that people can see that, oh, this person is available to do, and then they can even realize that they have a need that you can fulfill for them. So I come your way same time next week. Stay amazing.